Good morning, everybody. Cold out here in Colorado. Anyway, gonna bring a video to you about 4x4 and how to use it, when to use it, and when not to use it. And for this example, it's gonna work with my truck that I got, being a Super Duty. It's gonna work with other manufacturers also. So we're just gonna keep the simplicity of it, but I'm gonna answer some questions about when you should and when you shouldn't use it. Okay, so Ford is one of the last ones out there that uses a manual locking hub, and what this is you do not need to do it. So see the words auto right here. If you turn it all the way, which it's in that way, this lines up with auto, you're gonna just leave it in that for 100% of the time. Okay, and only would you ever come back and twist it to lock in certain circumstances. We're gonna get to that. If you own a GM product, if you own a Chrysler Ram product or a Stellantis, you're not gonna have to bother with this. Okay, but Ford's been having this hub system for forever. And you know, on their light duty trucks like the 1500s, you're not going to have this. You're going to have a auto locking front hub system. So when are we going to use four-wheel drive? Well, when we got this crap on the ground, maybe. Not always. That's going to be dictated based on your wheel slip. If you go out and fire up your truck and you drive on this in two-wheel drive and it gets around great, then there's no need to put it in four-wheel drive, because, you know, at the end of the day, you're going to use the four-wheel drive system as a fail-safe. It's not an all get around type thing like an SUV. All right, you can damage the four-wheel drive system by leaving it in four-wheel drive on dry surfaces such as this right here. On mixed surfaces you can get away with it, but people are like, well, what's the speed I can drive a four-wheel drive, and can I do 65? Listen, if you can do 65 mile an hour safely, then you don't need four-wheel drive. Or if you're driving a four-wheel drive at 65, I question what possesses you to do so, because it's not good on the system. But hypothetically, yeah, you can drive in higher speeds, 50-55 mile an hour. All right, so we climb up in here, and we're gonna forget those manual locking hubs for a little bit. Okay, now most manufacturers have a shifter for your four-wheel drive, whether it be a on the floor pull-in four-wheel drive, which is going to be in most of your work trucks. You're not going to see that. It'll be up in 2 high, and you're going to pull it down to 4 high, and then 4 low. We don't really use that for anything in a truck except for like pulling super heavy loads at super low speeds, or getting out some super, you know, like stiff rocks and stuff like that. But unique to Ford, they do have what's called a locking rear differential that you manually pull out. So you're going to pull out here, you're going to get this little locking rear end thing. So now you can use this separately from the four-wheel drive system. What that does is it allows the rear end to do a limited slip, meaning it starts to spin, and then it'll start pulling off that power from that wheel. And when you pull it into the locking, it's going to make both wheels spin at the same time with the same amount of torque. So this I would use, so you go out here and you don't need quite four-wheel drive yet. You can pull that locker in and see if it helps you get around a little bit better. When you're done with it, you're going to push in, that's going to shut it off. Now GM and Chrysler, I keep saying Chrysler, Stellantis, whatever. Let's just say Ram and GM. There's your 2 different trucks. And for the you know, like the Titan owners and the Toyota owners, this is all going to be the same, because you have automatic locking front ends, and you don't have an HD truck yet except for the Titan XD, which, you know, it's still going to be kind of on the half-ton premise. So once you get done with that, now we're starting to get slippery and everything like that. Now we actually need to use four-wheel drive. When you're throwing down the throttle and you're slipping and you're sliding, don't shift into four-wheel drive. Okay, that is not good on your four-wheel drive system. Okay, what you'll do is you'll let off the throttle and maybe even come to a stop if it's safe to do so, and you're going to just put that in there. Okay, that's what they mean by shift on the fly. Means you can shift while you're driving. Now, if you're not slipping, but you're going to change into that terrain where it's muddy or it's slippery, you can turn it and lock it into 4 high, and it allows you to shift into it prior to that. But what I would tell you is if you're already slipping, get off the throttle, so that way when you engage this, it's not doing a hard engagement to the four-wheel drive system. Okay, so from here you can still use your locker. You can pull it out, and now you can see there we have 4 high and the locker, but that's going to be independent. Now In a Ford with those locking hubs, so on the heavy duty trucks, you have what's called a limited slip front four-wheel drive system, meaning those front wheels are not both engaged at the same time. One's pulling, just like the rear with the limited slip. So if you have your locker going and both wheels of those are spinning and one of those front wheels is kind of cranking on the four-wheel drive system, it's not really going to engage. What's going to do is it's going to depower. This is where we would get out and turn that locking hub system on. So we got a four-wheel drive. Now we need all the wheels to drive like a Panzer tank. We're going to get out here. We're going to lock it. Okay, both sides, not one, both sides. Once we get done slipping and sliding and everything like that, you got to stop the truck. You got to get out here and unlock that hub. Leaving these hubs locked will damage your four-wheel drive system over long term. Okay, so now we're going to get back in here and talk about four-wheel drive again. So 4-low is going to be for super slow, need to crawl. You know, you got a muddy field and you're throwing out hay in the morning. Lock it in 4-low, put it in low. You can probably get out and walk next to the truck while it's driving. 4-low is merely going to be for ultra low speeds. I think nothing over 10 is what they say, and frankly I wouldn't go probably over 5. If you're using 4-low, then you're in some serious business. For the rest of it's going to be 4-high. Now don't worry, this 4-low engagement's not going to necessarily work unless you follow the steps to engage that 4-low, which is coming to a complete stop. You're going to need to put it in neutral. You're going to need to set your old parking brake. You come down here and put it in 4-low. That's the only way you're going to get that in there. And then so it's basically going to do that, and then repeat the steps back to 4-high to get that, leaving it, and it's going to pop up at the 4-high and everything like that. Now the last trick really to slipping and sliding is you've got it in 4-high, you've got it in lock and everything like that. You can always turn off your traction control, gain a little bit more confidence in the snow. What that's going to do is it takes away that torque management where it allows one wheel to slip, the one that's getting traction gets the power, etc. and so forth. Now, for all the Ram fans and all the GM fans out there, you have what's called a four-wheel drive system that allows you to, I think Chevy calls it advanced track, where you can literally just shift it. Your rear ends are auto locking, so you won't have a push button to get it into locking. It's going to slip, then it's going to grip on the other wheel, and so on and so forth. Now Chevy does offer a 2-speed transfer case over here, which means there's what's called auto. So I've had that on a lot of GM products. I never used it because what auto does is it allows the vehicle to control its own all-wheel drive system, kind of like an SUV. Meaning you go around when it's dry and there's gravel in the corner and you give a little too much gas and it slips the rear wheel, the auto track engages, okay? So meaning it turns into all-wheel drive and then eventually rolls out. I don't like the overusage on the four-wheel drive system. The four-wheel drive system, again, is just to need it when you have it. So I always use 2-high, period, no matter what vehicle I'm in. Chrysler doesn't have that. They just have 2-high, 4-high, 4-low. Until you get to the Power Wagon. We're not talking Power Wagon. Those dudes that get that truck know what they have there, and they're going to use that specifically, so we're not even going to touch on that. The half tons, they're all going to be the same. You're going to have 2-high or auto. It's your choice. Use whatever you want. But when you're ready, you're going to push the button for 4-high. If you try and get it in 4-low, it's going to tell you the steps you need to take. I point over here because this is where it is on a lot of the GM stuff. When you have the floor shifter, you don't even have the 2 auto and all of that crap. So, but when you're slipping and sliding, the key to knowing how to use your 4-wheel drive is paramount. And really, I like to try and get around in 2-high as much as I possibly can, because then when it gets down to the nitty gritty and you're starting to slip, I still have my 4-high, I still have my front locking hubs, and I still have my traction control to help me get in and out of that stuff. And I drive a V10 stake body all day, so it's light in the rear end, and overall it's got, you know, trucks like road tires on it, so, or highway tires, so it just doesn't get around. I've never gotten stuck in it because I try and get around the most I can. A slipping wheel on a vehicle is completely, absolutely useless, even when you're braking. So we want to make sure that once it starts slipping, we're going to stop before we start digging a hole, and we're going to start using these And people bang on Fords because they're like, well, you got to get out in the mud and lock your hubs. Yeah, you do. If you want the full four-wheel drive system to work, engage, yeah, you're going to have to get out and lock it. But that's only in the heavy duties. The half tons, it's a switch or a button. You just switch it and go. And then, like I said, your last-ditch effort is your traction control. If you still get stuck after that, which is always possible, then you might have to call a buddy that has another four-wheel drive or a long chain and a winch or something and get you out of that problem. But I wanted to touch on this because in Colorado we've been lucky to have a bunch of snow and slippery stuff, and everybody else that has winter all year round. In Colorado we have warm days in the middle of winter that melts all the snow, and we might be 60-70 degrees. Everybody out in Wisconsin's like, oh, yeah, well, we know what snow's about. Well, and out there in Chicago, they know what snow's about. So I'm not complaining or saying we're any differently, but it's easy to not understand four-wheel drive, and they give those great little owner's manuals in there so you can read how to do it. But really, it's really simple to use. And I just want to break it down Ford because Ford has some extra steps that allows it. So we hit the gym this morning, parking lot's super slippery. I just pulled the locker in, to pull it out. I didn't need four-wheel drive. It's just that it was icy underneath the snow. So I hope that this helps everybody out there. I'm getting real close to my 1,000 subscriber. I would really appreciate if you at least subscribe if you don't like my videos. That's totally groovy. You don't have to get notifications when I post new content, but I'm really trying to get to the point where I can take automotive inquiries to the next step and really make this kind of like, not necessarily a brand where I sell apparel. I don't think anybody wants to wear a sweatshirt of mine, but what I'm trying to do is put content out there that helps the average buyer out there make decisions and or use their products and or fix vehicles. I have a huge love for automotive things. Sometimes you'll see content on my channel that maybe not be automotive, but it's just a life hack or a house hack. I'm gonna put it on there because it's something I figured out to save you guys money. And I don't know about you, but I work too damn hard for my money to just keep handing it out when people tell you, well, I don't know how to fix it, you got to replace all this stuff, whatever. I'm gonna put it out there. And I do buy every one of these vehicles, and I would like to be able to buy more vehicles to do more videos on. And I appreciate all of you coming out to watch my content and everything like that. And hopefully that you all drive safe out there. And please subscribe, and we'll see you soon.